Hey LinkedIn, just speaking about, reaching out to the customers and how do you communicate and what's the best way to get people's attention, or even coming up with ideas for products or services. I think there's definitely the idea of, and I talk about this all the time as well, there's an idea of like you have to really put yourself in the shoes of the buyer and understand their needs and wants, but and you definitely do, but there's also the element of really being self-aware and looking at yourself as a buyer. When you think about, what do you like, and how would you react, and what would you do going through the buyer process. And I think that, I know for myself, I'm kind of obsessive about this. I tend to always sort of like think about these things and think about like years ago we had fees for projects, like edit fees and things like that. And I was in the airport and had a baggage fee, and I was like, God, I just hate fees. I hate fees. I wish they would just bake it in. And then I thought about ourselves, and then I messaged my team and I was like, that's it. We're getting rid of fees, no fees whatsoever, because people hate them. And we ended up surveying our customers and talking to our customers, and they were like, oh, thank God, I hate I hate the fees. So we did get rid of them, but there's an element of like when you're coming up with a product or service or something that you want to improve the customer journey or the experience or whatever, dummy run it yourself and look at it like, what do you like, or how would you react? And even looking at things like, there's a lot of webinars and there's a lot of things that people run these days, and you go there and it's gated. You got to plug in your email or something like that to get anywhere or to get a demo, and it's a little bit exasperating. You get there, you go, is this what the buyer loves? Is this what the customer loves? Or is this literally just because, from a marketing perspective, you have to like capture their email and then bomb them with emails? It's like, maybe just like focus on just doing what the customer, like what the buyer, what you like, and just go, look, let's ungate it. Let's make it easy for them. Let's get them to a point where they're actually vested and where they're really compelling, like reaching into compelling, like they're really sold on the offer and they're really sold on whatever, and they're actually naturally entering that sales cycle where they're going, you know what? Yeah, I like this, let's have a call. Rather than trying to sort of control and manipulate the person and hit them with so many things, I just think, to some degree, it's like take a step back from the marketing metrics, take a step back from the things that we're trying to get them to do, and instead make a more authentic, natural buyer experience that is pleasant and that kind of follows that sort of behavioral pattern that they go through, and put yourself in those shoes. And I think you can reduce, I think you're going to get better numbers and a better overall outcome, and just a more pleasant entry, if you will, overall experience, if you start looking at things from the standpoint of whether it's a product or service you're creating. What do I like? What do I need? What solves my problem for that if I'm the buyer? And then what do I want that experience to look like? And then of course you can flip it and put yourself in their shoes and think about like, well, what do they want? What do they need? And it's kind of a combination of both. But when you're looking at it, you're looking at it from the standpoint of you as the buyer, and do you love fees? Do you love when things are gated? Do you love reading a 30-page white paper? It's like, when was the last time you read one? You start looking at it, you go, okay, well, let's start trying to mirror the behavioral patterns of what's actually happening, and I think that's ultimately going to net out to be more successful. Any thoughts, leave below. Okay, thanks.